South Africa will now become home to a technology transfer hub which will help kickstart the production of COVID-19 vaccines on the continent. The World Health Organization announced that Cape Town-based Afrigen Biologics will be acting as the hub, manufacturing mRNA vaccines and providing training. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus says several companies have shown interest but will be selected on a criteria which includes the terms they're willing to share their technology.
I'm delighted to announce that WHO is in discussions with a consortium of companies and institutions to establish a technology transfer hub in South Africa. The consortium involves a company called Afrigen Biologics and Vaccines, which will act as the hub both by manufacturing mRNA vaccines itself and by providing training to a second manufacturer called BioVac. In time, Afrigen could provide training to other manufacturers in Africa and beyond. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention will provide guidance through the Partnership for African Vaccines Manufacturing. WHO is facilitating this effort by establishing the criteria for the technology transfer, assessing the applications, developing standards, and providing ongoing support and training. We are now in negotiations with several companies that have indicated interest in providing their mRNA technology to the hub. This selection will be based on how advanced the technology is in terms of clinical efficacy data and on the terms under which the company is willing to share its technology.
Well, let's take you straight then to Ministerial Advisory Committee Chair. This is for the COVID-19 vaccines, Professor Barry Shoup. Professor Shoup, good evening to you, and thank you so much for your time. I suppose, let's start with the basics, right? This technology hub, what is it really going to do, and how will it work?
Good evening, Kathy. Yes, this is very exciting news, very welcome news, that we will have a facility which will, in not too distant future, be able to manufacture, because at the moment we're just filling and finishing vaccine, but this to manufacture vaccine and to manufacture the real pinnacle, the best vaccines of all, particularly for its effectiveness against our variant. So to be able to manufacture messenger RNA vaccines, the moment there are the two, the Pfizer and the Moderna, which have shown to be the most effective vaccines in stimulating the immune response against COVID, and to have it in the country is really extremely welcome news. So hopefully it'll get going as soon as possible, and enabling South Africa to be a hub for manufacturing very effective COVID vaccines.
We know that South Africa has been at the forefront of, really lobbying for the waiver in terms of patents where vaccines are concerned.
Yeah.
Does this mean that part of that has effectively taken place? Because, what are the rules that are going to govern this process? And I know it's quite complex, but if you can just try and simplify it for us.
Yeah, I think it seems to be kind of part of that TRIPS agreement. TRIPS was the intellectual property agreement of the World Trade Organization. So it might well be part of that. But I think the important thing is that to be able to kind of manufacture now, messenger RNA is actually the genetic material of the virus. And this is brand new technologies, actually shows the advancement of science. When I say brand new as far as COVID is concerned, the actual technology of using messenger RNAs it goes back a few years, and it's got a fascinating history. It was actually originally designed by a Turkish couple, a husband and wife working in Germany. And they were actually working on cancer vaccines using the messenger RNA technology. And when COVID came about, it was rapidly transferred to making COVID vaccines with great success. As I mentioned earlier.
Who is this deal going to benefit? So are we likely to see the big pharmaceutical companies be the ones that are running the process of manufacturing this vaccine? So even though it is produced in South Africa, you find that at the end of the day, it does not leave the country with much benefit.
No, I think it will leave the country with a lot of benefit. First of all, to be able to manufacture it here and distribute it here whether or not through pharmaceutical companies, I think that won't really affect. But I think the important thing is that being manufactured here will allow it to be distributed to meet our needs. And another important factor, of course, is our variant. If it can be manufactured and tweaked and adjusted to address the variant, that's an even further win. The vaccine at the moment is quite effective against the variant, but there are improvements. It's not totally effective. And I think that would be another advantage, to be able to adapt and modify to our particular circumstances.
What it certainly does, perhaps, is provide a way out in terms of, future-proofing the country against vaccines or even any other variants that may still come up in future. It doesn't, however, solve our current problems, Professor Shub.
Well, no, it's not our current problem. Although the vaccine pipeline seems to be, there are a lot of optimistic news coming from the Department of Health in terms of the vaccine pipeline, in terms of supply. The distribution, of course, is another story. In terms of supply, we seem to be on a road to kind of being reasonably well supplied with vaccine. So I think that might not be too much of a problem, the vaccine pipeline. Yeah.
What are the challenges that you're experiencing where distribution is concerned?
Yeah, I think it's all the teething problems. You must remember, this is a program, an unprecedented program to kind of immunize the entire population. And we've got a mixed population, rural, urban, high income, low income, literate, illiterate, and all these factors need to be taken into account in being able to get people to vaccination sites, to opening up the vaccination sites, to seeing that they're smooth running, to seeing that the vaccine data system, that all those glitches are ironed out. So, it will start relatively slowly, but I think that the momentum will pick up as all these glitches get ironed out.
Professor Shub, there is a sense that the country has been let down when it comes to the supply of vaccines.
I don't think it's the country's been let down. We've got, through the efficient workings of the Department of Health with the vaccine manufacturers, we do have now the two premier vaccines which are being shown to work against our particular variant, the Pfizer vaccine and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. There was an international pause with regard to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, but now that pipeline seems to be opened up, and we are expecting both the Johnson & Johnson vaccine to supplement what we do have, over 2 million doses of the COVID vaccine.
Of course, the difficulty is that, the department is behind its own schedule that it had released to the public where vaccinations are concerned. And we're entering a third wave that, is worse than the previous two waves that we've had in the country by all indications. And South Africans are asking, well, why don't we have vaccines?
Yeah, look, the pause on the Johnson & Johnson was really completely out of the reach of South Africa. That was really an international pause due to a problem in a facility in the United States. Unpredictable and unfortunate. However, there is a bit of a backlog, that's true, that needs to be caught up. But the pipeline is being opened now, and I think that there will be catch up on that backlog. So there was a little bit of disappointment, that is true, but I think that will be rectified fairly soon now.
The other issue, of course, you're also dealing with a situation where the uptake of the vaccines is not as rapid as government, and I imagine even the Ministerial Advisory Committee would have anticipated. We do have sectors of our population that are reluctant about the vaccine. What are you being told about this, and how concerned are you?
Yeah, it is of course a concern. That's what we call vaccine hesitancy. People are unsure, and one can understand the uncertainty because these are new vaccines. They've been rapidly developed, but I think they've been rapidly developed precisely because of the sophistication of the science to develop them rapidly and also to ensure their safety. So that has to be communicated to the public, and I think it's really a partnership. It's a partnership between the professional scientific body which gives out information, and also, for example, the media like yourselves to communicate it to the public, because there will be hesitancy, and it is something that is concerning. There's another MAC, the socio-behavioral MAC, which will be specifically dealing with communication to the public and the sociological issues.
Professor Barry Shube, the chair of the Ministerial Advisory Committee on COVID-19 vaccines. Let's leave it there for tonight.